You know your place in history is secure when more people associate your name with you than the thing that you're named after. 85 years have gone by since LNER A4 Mallard set the all-time steam train speed record of 126 miles per hour, and that fame has been anything but fleeting. To commemorate the anniversary, Hornby have released a limited edition model of the engine, with only 500 being released. Mallard models are almost as common as the bird is on any British body of water, so this one must have some unique tricks up its sleeve for the anniversary. So what does Hornby promise on this new model? Features include a 5-pole skew motor, a 21-pin DCC socket, a firebox flicker and their new tender joining mechanism, all for only £177. Let's see if it's as feature packed as they say it is. For full transparency, this is a model my dad has bought for himself, which he has let me review for you all. So while I've not spent any money on this personally, I can at least give you my thoughts on the model. The limited edition model comes in an aptly designed box the same colour as Mallard. On the side is a nice line drawing as well as some information on the engine. Inside the box is a certificate of authenticity, denoting that this is number 207 of 500. Within a split second of looking at the model itself, you can tell exactly what engine this is meant to be. But something looks off. The LNER blue looks correctly shaded but feels drab, and is lacking the glossy finish seen on the real engine. Everything appears a bit flat, as if this is a 3D rendition of a matte painting of Mallard, rather than the shiny, sleek celebrity sitting in the National Railway Museum. That's not the only thing that seems flat on this model. The fitted nameplates feel textureless and not etched as I expected them to be, nor is there an etch set included in the accessories bag. As a result, there's not much about this decoration we've not seen before on past models. Nothing really stands out other than the clean sweeps in the lining around the smoke box. There have been past models of Mallard that have captured the essence of the real loco a lot better in their livery, such as the Hornby 70th Anniversary Gold-plated edition of Mallard, the Great Goodbye edition of Mallard, even the 2008 Railroad model of Mallard, and the Bachmann LNER Blue models of Mallard, to name but a few. These have more pop and a satin or glossy sheen that this one just doesn't have. With this one you get Mallard's likeness, but not a sense of her prestige. Finish aside, the detailing on this model is marvellous. There is a perfectly fitted double chimney, thin realistic handrails and lamp irons, and the cab is fully detailed, with such sublimely picked out gauges and painted tender handbrakes you'd think they had 00 gauge workers at the Hornby factory who could climb on in there and paint it up themselves. As well as having a nice folding cab floor and cab doors, the vents in the cab roof slide open and closed. The coupling rods are stamped and at the correct thickness, while the wheels have been chemically blackened. The connecting rods themselves are also fluted and given an oily finish. The leading wheels and driving wheels all have pickups, providing plenty of contact with the track. The front bogie is sprung, keeping the leading wheels pressed down against the rails. Also connected to the rear driving axle is a speedometer cable, which is a nice little touch. The new tender joining mechanism is fantastic, allowing quick and easy tender removal or addition. There's no unsightly wires or screws, everything is contained within the clipping components. Inside the tender is a 21-pin DCC socket that takes a HM7000-8XS Bluetooth decoder or a DC sound decoder. The coal load also has the ability to be removed and added with a strong fingernail or flat tool, and looks fairly realistic compared to coal loads we've seen in A4s in the past. Unfortunately, the underside of the tender is rather plain, there's no water scoop on this. The tender buffer beam, however, is fitted with a coupling and a brake pipe, which is odd as these are missing from the front of the loco. I'm not sure why they fitted them to the back in the factory but not the front. All buffers are sprung, however. The missing couplings and brake pipe for the front buffer beam can be found in the accessory pack, along with a pair of fine-scale wheels for the rear bogie and 2 painted crew figures, as well as some brake rigging and piping. On the scales, Mallard comes in at 348 grams, which is fairly hefty, and the wheel gauges of the driving wheels comes in at about 14.4 to 14.5, which is nice and consistent. Overall, Flat finish aside, this is a fairly well detailed model. There are one or two minor detail omissions, but unless you're looking for a water scoop, you wouldn't notice its absence. Mallard is now ready to run, which is more than can be said for the real engine. First of all, this is how easy it is to push the tender together and pull it apart from the loco. It's really nifty and simple, but both tender and engine need to be connected for the model to run. Mallard can set off at a slow and steady speed, if a bit juddery in reverse, though she hasn't been running yet. Right off the bat though, I notice something is wrong. The box clearly states that this has a flickering firebox LED, but I'm not seeing much coming out of the firebox. There is definitely an LED fitted, but when I run the engine I'm seeing inconsistent potential flickers of the LED. And now that I'm running it in forward and reverse, there is no distinct firebox glow. Something's wrong internally here, as it should be flickering nicely straight out the box, even if the engine's gears aren't running yet. I just reconnected the engine and tender after checking the LED is actually in the firebox, and now the front bogie has detached. So I've just been trying to re-rail Mallard and connect the tender, and the front bogie has just come off, unscrewed. That's not great. It's only been running around the board a handful of times and never up to anywhere near, never anywhere near close to full speed. So that is not great. The quality on this really isn't shining, and the instructions aren't exactly clear on how to reattach it. A missing nut was hiding amongst the sleepers. So it is just literally bolted freely in that little arc. So we'll have to give this a repair and then see how it runs. Alright, baseboard join test. No issues passing over these. Points. Mallard's now going smoothly over these two without any problems. Firebox LED and bogie failure aside, the 5-pole motor is running nicely here. And now it's time to see if Mallard is the queen of queens on the track. The odds are in her favour, considering she has the widest operating speed range of any steam locomotive, but let's see how that translates. It's time to hand her over to our train racing driver. Some say that he was once chased up a flagpole by a tiger loose on the main line, and that he achieved a shunting speed record with the Flying Scotsman by accident in Scotland. All we know is he's called the Grant. There he is, all prickly and purple on the footplate. Mallard shoots off at 50% speed, round onto the next baseboard. Down and round by the farm, coming back into the station, across the points and across the line. To give a comparison, here is an old-tooled Bachmann LNER A4, specifically Union of South Africa. May she enjoy her retirement. Let's see how their speeds compare. Union of SA is off, rounding the bend onto the second baseboard by the waterside. She shoots down towards the farm, around the bend, back into the station and across the line. So, the Bachmann A4, which is some 20 to 30 something years old now, did the lap in 18.98 seconds at 50% speed, which is a scale speed of 53 miles an hour. Quite a leisurely pace for an A4. By contrast, the Hornby 85th anniversary Mallard did the lap in 14.78 seconds, which is 68.2 miles an hour. That's just shy of half of Mallard's speed record, and that was only done at 50% speed, which means that this loco is remarkably well geared to what Mallard would have run like in real life, and that is actually rather astonishing by how close it is. It's only about 5 miles an hour out in scale speed. The gearing here is incredibly precise. I'm actually quite blown away by how close it is. And on top of that, the loco runs perfectly and smoothly and quietly and has just got exceptional performance. With a scale run as impressive as the speed record set by the real thing, let's get Mallard hooked up to some coaches. With the bogie now back in place, there is absolutely no issue with the running. In a sort of pastiche kind of way, the flat finish could work on a more artistique kind of layout that is going for beauty over realism, but compared to the coaches, there's a sheen missing from Mallard as it pulls them around the track. The tender coupling is performing marvellously, but there's still no sign of that firebox flicker. On to my final verdict. For livery and decoration, this is easily the most disappointing part of the model. It could easily have been saved with a more satin or glossy finish. With this perfected on other models in the past, there's no excuse for such a flat livery on this loco. It has all the bells and whistles to shout about elsewhere, but not here. Outside of the overall finish, the lettering and lining is fine but nothing to shout about. While there's no complexity to the livery in real life, the flatness here makes the simplicity all the more obvious. I'm going to have to mark this down. Details and features. The new tender connection is brilliant, as are all the intricate rod detailing. The cab detail is mind-blowing, with all the measurement notches on the gauges visible. There are a few eyebrow-raising observations, such as one detailed buffer beam and one bare one, and some details like a water scoop that would have been nice. Overall, what you get is pleasing enough. Quality. This is where things fall down. The firebox LED is not functioning as it should, if at all, and the front bogie detaching of its own free will shines a poor light on the build quality. For almost £180, these are not things you want happening. Heck, for £80 these are things that you wouldn't want happening. And this may even be a return case. Hornby advertised the firebox flicker as a key modern feature on the box, so the very least they can do is quality control to make sure it's working. I can only speak for this example of the model, but I hope this isn't a common problem across all 500 of these. Performance. There's next to no issues here, and to be honest it's actually rather exceptional. Mallard ran over points and curves and baseboard joins without any major crises. Very well geared to its speedy counterpart and able to produce some nice slow movements as well. Performance wise, there's nothing to critique and a lot to celebrate. Price. The price here is pretty middle of the road, with double-O die-cast Mallards available for more than £300 and older variations available for much less. Given the updated features on this model, the pricing seems to be about right in today's economy. For your money, you get the nice new tender coupling solution, a lot of nice detailing, and a solidly running loco. The only detraction is that you can get cheaper and older variations that look the part of Mallard better, but I've already penalised the livery elsewhere. Depending on whether you prefer a well-built engine over a well-dressed one is going to be the clincher. My dad bought this for the modern, finer tooling, and if I was buying it myself, I'd agree that the price is spot on for the features you receive. Personally though, I'd go for an older model that's got more of that shine that we see in the real Mallard. On balance, the pricing here is right. However, this is dampened by the quality issues, broken features, and loose runaway bogies. That's not what you want happening on a brand new, expensive, limited run model. That ultimately costs it the price point for me. There's no excuse for a model failing like that at any price. Overall, the Hornby Mallard 85th Anniversary Edition has scored only 2 out of 5, which means this model has bargain potential but isn't worth the full price. The build quality here is what really lets it down, which is such a shame as it's a fantastic runner. If you're collecting every model incarnation of Mallard under the sun, then there's no reason to skip over this functional model of the famous engine, provided you find it with all the pieces attached for the price you want to pay. However, if you're after an alternative, there's plenty of other recent releases out there that have a better shine and perhaps more robust build quality. This new Mallard may be up to date, but may not be for everyone. Overall, it's a little bit of a lame duck, unfortunately. So what do you think of this take on Mallard? Are you also a lucky owner of this limited edition model? And if so, please let me know in the comments if you've encountered any similar quality issues. Are you a fan of the finish or also disappointed? Do let me know, and I'll see you in another video very shortly. Take care.